Look upon the Giza Plateau, where the sands of time meet the sky. Here stands the Great Pyramid, the last survivor of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. For millennia, it has baffled historians, engineers, and dreamers. How was this colossal monument built? Who had the vision and the power to command its creation? The answer lies with one man, the Pharaoh Khufu. Welcome, history lovers. Today, we journey back 4,500 years to the golden age of Egypt's old kingdom to uncover the story of the man behind the impossible pyramid. Khufu, known to the Greeks as Cheops, reigned during the absolute peak of pharaonic power from around 2589 to 2566 BCE. He was the second king of the powerful 4th Dynasty, and his name itself was a declaration of divine right. His full name, Knum Khufu, means Knum, protect me. This wasn't just a name, it was a political masterstroke. By aligning himself with Knum, the ram-headed god who molded humanity from clay on a potter's wheel, Khufu wasn't just a king, he was a sacred figure, a bridge between the gods and mortals, solidifying his absolute authority over the Egyptian people. He was born into a legacy of giants. His father was the great Pharaoh Sneferu, the man who perfected the true, smooth-sided pyramid with his creations at Dashur, the Bent, and the Red Pyramids. His mother was the influential Queen Hetepheres. Khufu inherited a kingdom at the height of its prosperity and architectural ambition. But he wasn't content to simply follow in his father's footsteps. He was determined to build something that would eclipse everything that came before, a structure that would echo through eternity. And so, he chose the Giza Plateau, a strategic and sacred location on the west bank of the Nile. In ancient Egyptian belief, the west was the land of the setting sun, the gateway to the Duat, the realm of the dead. His pyramid was not just a tomb, it was a resurrection machine, a celestial staircase designed to launch his soul into the heavens. And for an incredible 3,800 years, it remained the tallest man-made structure on Earth. Only in 1311, with the completion of the Lincoln Cathedral in England, was its record finally broken. Think about that. A record held for nearly 4 millennia. It's a testament to the sheer scale and precision of ancient Egyptian engineering that defies easy explanation. To truly grasp the significance of the Great Pyramid, we need to understand its spiritual DNA. Its shape wasn't just a random geometric choice, it was deeply rooted in Egyptian creation myths. The pyramid form was inspired by the Ben, the mythical primeval mound that first rose from the dark, chaotic waters of creation. It was the birthplace of the sun god, Ra. The evolution of the royal tomb reflects this ideology. Early pharaohs were buried in simple, flat-roofed structures called mastabas. Then, the genius architect Imhotep, under the reign of Pharaoh Djoser, stacked these mastabas on top of each other, creating the world's first major stone building, the Step Pyramid at Saqqara. This was a revolutionary leap. But the final perfect form was achieved by Khufu's father, Sneferu. He experimented. He failed with the collapsed pyramid at Meidum and the bent pyramid, but he ultimately succeeded with the Red Pyramid, the first true smooth-sided pyramid. Khufu took this perfected design and scaled it up to a level that was, and still is, mind-boggling. The smooth, polished limestone casing, which is now almost entirely gone, would have shone brilliantly in the sun. These gleaming sides weren't just for show. They symbolized the petrified rays of the sun god, Ra. They formed a divine ramp, allowing the resurrected pharaoh's soul to climb directly into the sky and join the gods in their eternal journey across the heavens. The pyramid was a physical manifestation of a spiritual belief, a permanent link between the earthly king and his divine destiny. Now let's talk numbers, because the statistics of the Great Pyramid are staggering. The structure is composed of an estimated 2.3 million blocks of stone. The average block weighs about 2.5 tons, the same as a modern SUV. But some of the granite blocks used in the king's chamber, deep inside the pyramid, weigh as much as 60 tons. That's the weight of a battle tank. So, how did they do it? The man in charge of this monumental task was not Khufu himself, but his nephew and vizier, a man named Hemiunu. As the highest official in the kingdom, Hemiunu was the architect, the project manager, and the logistical genius who orchestrated this entire operation. His statue, now in a museum in Germany, depicts a man of clear intelligence and authority. He was the mastermind who turned Khufu's divine ambition into physical reality. The question of how has haunted us for centuries. How do you move and lift millions of tons of stone without cranes, without modern machinery, without even the wheel for transport? The most widely accepted theories center on the use of ramps. But what kind of ramp? Was it a single long, straight ramp that had to be extended and raised as the pyramid grew? This would have eventually become a monumental structure in its own right, perhaps even larger than the pyramid itself. Or was it a spiral ramp, wrapping around the outside of the pyramid like a corkscrew? This would have made it difficult to maintain the pyramid's precise angles. More recently, scans have suggested the possibility of an internal ramp spiraling up within the pyramid's core. The truth is, we still don't know for sure. It was likely a combination of methods. We know from reliefs that they used massive wooden sledges to drag the stones over the sand. And they might have lubricated the path with water to reduce friction, a technique depicted in ancient tomb paintings. What we can largely dismiss are the more fringe theories. The idea that the blocks were a form of ancient concrete poured into molds on site has been debunked. Geologists have confirmed the stones are natural limestone, quarried nearby, and granite from Aswan, hundreds of miles to the south. The idea of advanced lost technology or alien intervention is exciting, but there's simply no evidence for it. The real wonder is not some lost secret, but the incredible power of human organization, ingenuity, and sheer determination. And that brings us to the most persistent and damaging myth of all, the myth of slave labor. For thousands of years, the world pictured hundreds of thousands of slaves, whipped and brutalized, dying under the desert sun to build a tomb for a tyrannical king. We have the Greek historian Herodotus to thank for this image. He visited Egypt in the 5th century BCE, a full 2,000 years after Khufu's reign, and wrote that 100,000 men worked in 3-month shifts under cruel conditions. But modern archaeology has completely overturned this story. The discovery of the workers' village near the pyramids has given us a detailed look into the lives of the builders. We found their bakeries, their breweries, and their cemeteries. The skeletons show signs of hard labor, healed bones, arthritis, but they also show they received expert medical care. They were not slaves. They were a skilled, well-organized workforce. There was a core of permanent, professional craftsmen and a rotating crew of temporary laborers who came from all over Egypt to work on the project, likely during the Nile's annual flood when farming was impossible. This wasn't forced servitude. It was a national project. Working on the Pharaoh's pyramid was a civic duty and a source of great honor, and they were well compensated. We know from ancient records they were paid in rations of bread, fish, and, importantly, beer, which was a staple of the ancient Egyptian diet. One of the most incredible recent discoveries is the Papyrus of Merer, a logbook kept by an official who managed a team of about 40 elite workers. It details their daily tasks, from quarrying stone to delivering it to the Giza site. It's the only first-hand account we have from someone who actually worked on the Great Pyramid, and it describes a highly efficient, state-run operation, not a slave camp. This also forces us to reevaluate Herodotus's portrayal of Khufu as a cruel and wicked tyrant who allegedly even sold his own daughter into prostitution to raise funds. Remember, Herodotus was writing 2 millennia after the fact, relying on local folklore and gossip. There is no Egyptian evidence to support this claim. In Egyptian records, Khufu is depicted as a traditional, powerful, and respected pharaoh who ruled over a stable and prosperous kingdom. The scale of the pyramid itself speaks to a society that was incredibly well organized and unified, not one on the verge of collapse under a despot. After a reign of about 23 years, Khufu died and was laid to rest within his magnificent monument. His sarcophagus is still in the king's chamber, but his body and any treasures were stolen in antiquity. For centuries, the pyramid stood sealed and silent. Today, Khufu's Great Pyramid is more than just a pile of stones. It is a symbol of human potential. It represents the pinnacle of Old Kingdom power, a masterpiece of engineering, and a profound statement of cosmological belief. It stands as a silent, enduring testament to the pharaoh who dared to build the impossible, ensuring his name, Khufu, would live forever. It defied time, it weathered history, and it remains the last, and perhaps the greatest, wonder of the ancient world. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey back in time. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more deep dives into the ancient world. Let me know in the comments what ancient mystery you'd like to explore next. See you in the next video.